It's a foggy morning in northwest Glasgow. There's not many awake at 5 AM, and this truck compound is also quiet. But that tranquility is about to be pushed out of bed by a huge task. There's a 250-ton hydraulic crawler crane that needs to be transported to the most northerly point of mainland Scotland. This crane belongs to Graham, one of the UK and Ireland's biggest construction companies. The Cobalco CKE 2500 Mark II crane is a behemoth of engineering. When assembled, its boom measures a colossal 91 metres in length. That's the height of more than 20 London double-decker buses. And it has more weight than 155 average family cars. Its water-cooled 10.5 litre turbocharged Hino PNC UN Tier 3 engine packing a punch of 247 kilowatts at 2000 RPM. This crane is quite possibly the most heavy-duty mobile crane on the planet. And it's needed for a job, 279 miles away. Before the team can get on the road though, the crane needs to be loaded onto a specialist heavy haulage truck. Very carefully. The crane is stored sitting on its own 4-point hydraulic stand, each capable of dealing with over 100 tons of weight on its own. The truck that will bear this immense load? The West of Scotland's STGO Cat 3. But that alone can't carry the entire crane. There are 5 other trucks transporting the rest, including one carrying these crushing tracks. Moving parts are greased and health and safety taken seriously to ensure a safe journey. One of these falling off on the way would cause a major problem for everyone. All 42 wheels of Cat 3 arrive at the yard, flanked by the dedicated escort vehicle needed to help transport the oversized cargo to its destination. Cat 3 has incredible rear-wheel steering to help it negotiate bends in the road that would have been otherwise impossible to take. The crew at the yard begin to prepare the loading of the giant cargo by lifting it with its own stilts, an even stress load on each corner. In the meantime, Cat 3 is manoeuvred into position on the other side of the yard to get some TLC by its driver Neil. There's a huge amount of pride in these trucks, and Neil is going to ensure that Cat 3 looks its best for this mammoth journey. After a clean, they're now ready. But the crane is not yet high enough for the truck to creep underneath to load. The rear of the crane, which is temporarily supported by cylindrical steel supports, also needs lifting, so another, much smaller crane is brought in to do the honours. The metal supports that have been used to store the crane safely are moved away in preparation for loading. Heavy timber blocks are placed underneath the hydraulic legs at each corner to raise the crane high enough for the bed of the truck to pass underneath. Finally, the crew are ready for the load. The crane is now around a metre off the floor. The truck moves to the loading area, its rear wheel steering pushing the back of the trailer out to allow for a tighter turning circle. And then it starts to reverse towards the crane. The trailer is taller than the gap between the floor and the base of the crane, but this is not a problem. This truck is a modified car lover's dream. It can lower itself to the ground using specialist hydraulic suspension. Incredibly, even with the truck's lowering technology, the crane is still too low. Supporting timber on the trailer is removed, and the truck once again reverses with 8 sets of crew eyes carefully watching progress. The margin for error is tiny. No mistakes can be made here. At 26 metres long and with no cameras to assist, the driver is relying on feedback from the crew on the ground for instructions. With adjustments all round, from truck to hydraulic stilts, the trailer is finally fully underneath the truck. The trailer bed is padded with timber to prevent metal-on-metal slide during transit, and raised to take the initial weight off the hydraulic pillars. Then the hydraulic pillars are carefully retracted to allow the trailer to take the entire weight of the crane. The tightening of chains and supports, retraction of the hydraulic legs and balance of the load are amongst the final steps of loading. It's taken over 2 hours to load the crane, but finally Cat 3 and its immense cargo are ready to hit the road. "26 metres of precision heavy-duty cranes start the arduous journey from the compound. The wide turning circle of the truck and trailer evident from the beginning. This is no easy journey to undertake. From the outskirts of Glasgow, Cat 3 will take a variety of roads on its journey north on this epic and unique road trip. Starting from Cumbernauld, northeast of Glasgow, the convoy will head northeast towards Perth. Heading north-northwest, Cat 3 will pass through the stunning Cairngorms National Park, before once again heading northwest towards Inverness. Neil and his escort driver have been driving close to the legal permitted time, so it's time to stop and take a short break.
Well, this is we're delivering Graham's 250 tonne Cabelco crawler crane. This is the main body I'm delivering. Other guys are going to be delivering up another 4 or 5 trailer loads with all the tracks, the ballast, the jib sections. That'll be delivered up between today and tomorrow. and then they'll start offloading and then building the crane. It'll probably take them a day and a half to get it all built, ready to go to work. We're going to be travelling all the way up the A9, up the well-known Berrydale Braes, as they call them. The hairpin bend, very steep hill. That'll be a crawler gear all the way up, and more or less all the way down the hill, just using the retarder so you're not using the brakes, to burn the brakes off. We'll another stop between here and the Berrydales before we attack that, all going well, and then we'll carry on, reach our final destination maybe either later on this afternoon or this evening, stroke tomorrow morning.
Running a truck through this part of Scotland is hardly the worst job in the world. The countryside is both immense and beautiful.
They say once we stop in here, everything first thing we'll do is check all the tyres, they're not warm, check for any punctures, check all the loads secure, check all the chains are still tight. Sometimes they can slacken off just with a bit of bouncing, so you check all the chains, check the load, there's nothing going slack that can fall off and hit anybody, there's no stones going to fall off and hit a car, smash a window or a headlight. So we check everything back to front, and then we'll have our time, put the kettle on, a cup of tea, once we've had a cup of tea, maybe a wee cat nap, a de-stress, and then that'll be us ready to go, because once you start heading away again, a lot of people think you're only driving, but it's a lot of concentration, especially when you've got something this length. It's 26 metres, just 26.5 metres from front to back just now. You're crossing away over 100 tonne, so it takes a lot of concentration. Looking away ahead in case somebody decides, oh, I think I'll just stop there and take a picture, and you've got to try and stop this thing, so you've got to be concentrating all the time.
Break time is over. Refreshed and raring to go, Neil and Cat 3 hit the road once more. Once over the Moray Firth at Inverness, it's across the Black Isle, then across the Cromarty Firth and further into the Highlands. As Cat 3 and his cargo head north, they eventually come to the most challenging part of the journey. Berrydale, a picturesque village on the east coast of Scotland enjoying a Jurassic coastline, but also being home to the infamous Berrydale Braes, a sharp hairpin turn with a steady decline to get to it, and then a steep climb to get through it. This is not the natural habitat of a 26-metre truck carrying a 250-tonne crane. But seasoned driver Neil knows what to do. Slipping the truck into crawler gear, the descent is slow but safe. Progress is painfully slow, but this is essential for the safe transit of the crane on this, one of Scotland's most notorious roads. Now on the incline, Neil has to use all his concentration to make sure this goes right. One mistake could cause chaos. Once moving on this bend, this truck cannot be stopped, as it would not be able to gain traction to start ascending once again. The corner is conquered. Berriedale Braes posed the greatest challenge in eastern Scotland to the crew, but they took it in their stride like the professionals they are.
I'm Peter Andreasen. I'm a contracts manager with Graham Construction. We've just mobilised our 250-ton crawler crane for the Dounreay site. The mobilisation of this crane has been a major planning and undertaking, as the route coming up is 285 miles long through some of the most difficult roads in Scotland. The purpose of the crane is for the build of a project in the Dounreay site restoration. The crane has been calculated for the size of 250 tons, so we can lift some of the heavier elements, such as a 43-ton steel door that has to be lifted in, and some 25-metre long precast concrete beams. The journey started in Glasgow early this morning, and the crane travelled up the M80 and onto the A9, up through Stirling and Perth, and all the way up through Inverness, through the Berriedale Brae and all the way up to Thurso. It's been a long journey, and it's taken approximately 9 hours to get to where it should go. This has been an interesting part of the project to get this crane mobilised because of the complexities and the size. But the route we followed has its pluses. It is fantastic and it's beautiful in the northern part of Scotland, and have been travelling up here for the past few years. I still enjoy the drive from Inverness all the way up to the northern part. Every single time I drive up along the coast, it is stunning and it's a beautiful place to be.
The last leg of the journey takes Cat 3 to the Dounreay nuclear site, where they'll unload the crane in the morning for its irreplaceable role in this project.